Tell me about what it was like growing up in a big family. You have three siblings.
I do have 3 siblings. So I kind of grew up in this funny nexus of I'm the oldest of 4, but I'm also kind of in my mind the youngest of 7 because
Mm,
my mom is the oldest of 6 kids and she had me when she was 22 and my dad was still in medical school at the time and then, early in residency and just working like 80-hour 90 hours, 100 hours, never leaving the hospital, like insane long shifts. And my mom, being kind of a kid, would oftentimes just take me back to her parents' house and we'd drive an hour and a half into Pennsylvania and we'd end up hanging out there. And so I'm so close with my grandparents who I do feel kind of raised me in a way. And so I kind of consider myself their 7th child. Plus, my youngest uncle, my mom's little brother, was only 9 years older than I was. So we very much
wow.
were like in the same group. And so I will say that being in a big family gave me a million things that I deeply treasure as part of who I am today. But one of the most critical pieces is like how to make yourself heard. I think
Uh,
how to feel like you're contributing to the conversation and listen and then respond and feel the confidence of being a part of a community that you feel is like stable and will love you no matter what. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence throughout early adulthood and I've spoken widely about being the heavy kid in a family full of health nuts and my sort of challenges with figuring out a healthy lifestyle program that would really work for me, which I wrote about in my first book, The Dorm Room Diet, when I got to college and figured that out. But people would often ask in the beginning, like, was I bullied? What was that experience like? Just feeling like I hadn't been prioritizing my health in the way that I could have been. And I always go back to I felt even at points when I wasn't confident in my skin, I still felt this degree of just like on solid ground and baseline happiness because of that incredibly strong family network that I feel so grateful for.
wow. Wow. Is there one piece of advice that you remember that, either your parents gave you or a family member gave you that has stuck and it's something that you're saying to your kids now?
I haven't started saying this regularly to my kids yet because they're still little for it. But my oldest is getting there and she's 7 and she's obviously in the friend dynamics now where not everyone is like easy to get along with and just like a
Yeah.
lovely little kid. So I said to her something that my mom always said to us, which is that worrying is just a prayer for the worst possible outcome. And I
Ooh.
always think about it when I get worried or get anxiety about something. And it is a human tendency to want to ruminate on the things that really disturb us and the things that make us scared or nervous or that we don't feel we control. And the irony is that we don't control them, but
Yeah.
in worrying about them, you like live the worst possible outcome even before it's ever happened. And it may never happen, but like you've given yourself this pain anyway. Um,
Yes.
so
And
that I
you've given
lived with
that
that.
thought some life where it might not even manifest in the first place.
A
Yeah.
100%. And it distracts you from putting your energy towards things you do want to have happen. And I do radically believe that is true that like I forget how I always mangle the adage, but it's like where thought goes, energy flows or whatever it is where
Ah, yeah.
you have to focus on the things you want to happen and that means getting rid of the things that you're worrying about having happen.
Yes, yes, yeah. You become your thoughts, truly. So tell us about the life-changing, you know, moment and really phenomenon that was Oprah and your dad rising to fame. Because I'm sure as his daughter, it was life-changing for you.
Well, so something I think people forget is that I'm the oldest of the 4. And like I mentioned, my dad was in medical school when I was born or recently graduated. And I didn't grow up with America's Dr. Oz. I grew up
Yes.
with the heart surgeon, Dr. Oz, celebrated surgeon, Dr. Oz, I think at his peak, he was doing 400 surgeries a year, which was like unheard of in terms of open heart and some of the techniques that he
Wow.
pioneered and he holds patents and like so in my mind my dad is a scientist, he's like a doctor, like that's always where my first my first thought goes even now, even however many years later. But it was when I was a sophomore in high school that he started appearing on Oprah regularly. And there, absolutely were some seismic shifts of all of a sudden people knowing who my dad was in a way that they never had before. But there's one moment in particular that I've said, I'll say it again, even though this is like the memory that that never leaves me. When I was a sophomore in high school, my dad was voted, I think like when People
I
Magazine
read
did
this.
those like roundups, and they voted him, I think, sexiest doctor or something.
Yeah.
And he gave an interview wherein he is quoted saying that he and my mom have sex 4 times a day. And I literally wanted to die because so many people I went to high school with read this stupid interview, and like, needless to say, it was an incorrect estimate.
Yeah, he
I
meant
think
week, right?
he meant per week, which I'm
Yeah.
sorry, still doesn't still not something I want printed in People Magazine. But you know what? I've gotten over it. And honestly, I now am like on the other side of marriage and parenting and everything else. I'm happy that my parents were celebrated in this way. You know?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Yeah, they made sure that they kept the spark alive, which is
Yes.
really, really amazing.